he basically held this woman hostage. Like, can that be considered hostage? I don't know, but she was in tears. Hey everyone, it's your girl Lola. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. I hope you all had a wonderful week. I hope you're having a good day so far. If you're not, I'm about to brighten it up just a little bit. So today I will be giving you all the tea on how I once worked for a man who turned out to be a scammer. And not only was he a scammer, he was just an all-around bad person. So I will be covering the background, I will be telling you exactly what he did that made him a scammer, and also just some stories from on the job that just proves that he's a horrible person. And what you're about to hear is a mix of eyewitness account, you know, like me, and also research that I conducted after I stopped working for him. And we are going to be referring to this individual as Mr. L. I don't want no smoke right now. I don't have time for any smoke. He probably can't even afford to sue me, but we'll get into that too later. So yeah, stay tuned if you want to hear me talk about Mr. L and his evil ways. This tale takes place in 2013. I was about 18 years old. It was the summer after my freshman year of college, and I was broke, okay? I needed to pay my rent. I needed a job. And so I did what I needed to do. I posted my resume on Craigslist back when Craigslist was more, So yeah, I put my resume on Craigslist and a man responds, and I'm literally like, I just need a job at this point, so I am willing to deal with a little bit of sketchiness in order to, you know, make sure I can make ends meet. So this man responds, Mr. L. He tells me that he owns a watch / jewelry / gallery shop in Midtown Manhattan's Diamond District, and he gives me the website, he gives me all the details, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is legit, this checks out. I probably walked past this store on multiple occasions. So we scheduled an interview. I went for the interview, and that was that. I was hired on the spot after waiting in the store for like 8 hours to have my interview conducted. That should have been the first major red flag. But like I said, your girl was broke. I needed to eat, okay? I had to eat. My role was as this man's secretary, so what I did on a day-to-day varied, but I was in charge of managing his accounts. I would help make vendor payments. I did research. I sometimes would handle customers. There were other people working in the shop. It was a watch repair / jewelry / pawn shop hybrid thing. He was such a mean person. Oh my God, you guys. One of the ways in which he committed fraud was tax fraud. So he purposefully did not report his employees, and he paid all of us under the table in order to avoid paying taxes, employer taxes, or whatever it is that you gotta do when you have employees. So he deliberately went out of his way to make sure that we got paid under the table so he wouldn't have any other debt obligations. And while it was cool, I mean, like, yeah, more money, no taxes, whatever, it was, now that I think about it, that was really sketchy. So that's the first sketchy thing. The first way he was a scammer, this man was scamming the IRS. And while I have thoughts and feelings about these institutions, it was really shady. Really shady. Mr. L was also completely unprofessional. I believe this was my first or second day working there. A woman came into the store with about $160,000 worth of gold bars. She wanted to get the gold bars appraised, but she didn't exactly want to sell them yet. She was still shopping around to see who would give her the best deal. And the way the store worked, you had to be buzzed in and buzzed out. So she came in and she's, you know, hoping that she can get her gold bars appraised and maybe compare pricing with another store of a similar nature. She was trapped in the store for about 3 hours going back and forth because he gave her some ridiculous buying price for these gold bars. She came in expecting, she would get the market worth, because at the time, the gold was worth $160,000 in total, but he told her something ridiculous like $100,000 or like $95,000. I don't know, he made up a figure, and this woman was so distraught. But what made it worse was the fact that he had taken possession of the gold bars and he refused to let them go. He did not want to return them to her, even after she said, I don't want to sell them to you, I'm gonna take them somewhere else. He would not let her go. He would not let her get buzzed out. And so he basically held this woman hostage. Like, can that be considered hostage? I don't know. But she was in tears and I was helpless. Like, I'm this 18-year-old girl. My boss is yelling at me to not buzz her out. And I remember, like, there were instances where after this took place, I would buzz customers out of the store because they didn't want to be there. And he would yell at me and berate me because I lost him potential sales. Sir, if they wanted to buy from you, you wouldn't have to hold them hostage. But anyway, Mr. L was a scammer because he sold fake merchandise. I remember it was maybe my second week of working there. A young college student came in to buy a Chanel watch. She was a foreign exchange student and she didn't really speak much English, but she was dressed real cute, real stylish, and I was like, yes girl, come get your watch. She came in, she selected, I think it was a pink Chanel watch. It was beautiful considering, but he gave her authentication papers. She paid about $9,000 for it, and then she left. The next day, she came back with her boyfriend who spoke better English, who took the watch to get appraised somewhere else. It turns out the bezel and the watch face were real, but the rest of the watch was fake. They weren't Chanel parts. And so he sold her a Chanel watch that was 75% fake for $9,000. Can you imagine? Imagine. The boyfriend had to press him. He had to press him to give her the money back. And of course, being $1,500,000 in debt, you don't want to give back any money to anyone. No refunds, right? But he basically had to force Mr. L to give her money back because of the fake Chanel watch. Can you imagine doing that? And it turns out that he was doing that with other brands. He would do that with Rolexes, and oh my gosh, this background noise. I'm sorry, y'all. My room faces a window. It faces the street. But he was also doing this with Rolexes, and in doing my research after he fired me because I was not with his BS. Seriously. And he also called me a week later begging me to come back, but so yes, he after I got fired, I looked him up, and it turns out that he was selling people Rolexes in a similar way with maybe the original bezel and watch face. The body of the watch was like original, but then the parts around it, I forget the technical name for it, but the watch band would be fake AF. And bruh, I will insert some of the reviews because literally he's a crook. He's been profiled by Pix11 News about 4 times. Mr. L wasn't just a scammer, he was a thief. He was a watch thief. One of the ways in which he made money was watch repairs. So people would bring their watches to be repaired, they would put down a deposit, and they just would never see their watches again. There were people, I would be the one answering the phones. There were people who called me every single day asking about the state of their watch. I remember this one lady called me crying because it had been 2 years since she had last seen her watch. And sorry y'all, street noise. I'll take care of this one, as I become better at YouTube. but she was crying. She hadn't seen her watch in like 2 years, and I couldn't do anything to help her. I couldn't find her watch. She had like a whole library of watches that he'd accumulated from over the years of collecting deposits from people and not repairing their watches or giving them their watches back. I witnessed one occasion in which he gave someone their watch back because they came to the store with their goons, and I was able to locate the watch. I had no problems giving that person their watch and deposit back, because what the actual heck, like, how does someone in good faith give you a deposit, expect that their watch, even a watch battery, like these aren't even like heavy watch repairs. In many cases, it would be to add like a link or a chain to the band, or it would be to fix the batteries. How will someone bring you a battery to be fixed and they don't see their watch again for 2 years? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. That man is a thief. Mr. L, you're a thief. And I was about to call him out, but nah, this man was a crook. Now that I think about it, he had really poor employee retention. The turnover rate was intense, shambolic even. There were some people who couldn't even last up to a full day in the shop. And I was in a constant cycle of interviewing people, recruiting people, because he didn't know how to run a business. He didn't know how to talk to his employees. He would fire people because he was in a really bad mood and then call them begging the following day, similar to how he fired me because I was not with his nonsense and then begged me to come back a week later. Another way in which he was a thief and a scammer, at this point, I think this is credit card fraud. He would charge people for things without their consent. Even he would charge their credit cards even before they would consent to buying a watch or buying a piece of jewelry. He literally would hold people in the store until they bought something. And if people didn't want to buy anything, he would beg and convince and be like, I'll give you this, I'll give you that, I'll give you this price for a fake Rolex, most likely, mind you. And you couldn't convince him to buzz people out of the store unless he was sure that he had exhausted all of his manipulative tactics to get people to buy stuff. Like, I used to feel so bad. And I remember, like I told y'all, the couple of times that I buzzed people out because I'm not a kidnapper. I'm not gonna hold people against their consent. He would just fly off into a tirade. Why are you mad because I'm allowing people to leave your store? They don't want stuff. Mr. L was a liar. He was disorganized. He was unprofessional. He was a pathological liar. He would lie to people about their watches being misplaced because he had so much stuff in the store, and that's why he couldn't repair them on time. Every single day at this place was literally a day from hell. He was so bad, you guys. Like, I hope you can understand the magnitude of this man's fraudery and scammery. Like, the thievery, everything was so bad. And the crazy thing is, this man, another way how I knew that he was a fraud, he had multiple names for his business. And when people would call, they would ask for the name of one store that was vaguely similar to the title of the store outside the window or the name of the store outside the window, but it wouldn't be the same thing. And then he also owned another store across the street that was basically surplus. And I learned after the fact that he had to close down the main shambolic location and only keep the one across the street. So yes, I do not want to bore you guys with a long video. I know my very first video was super long. It was like 23 minutes, but essentially, Mr. L, if you're watching this, you are rude, you're a narcissist, you're a thief, you're a fraud, you're a scammer. You need to get help. You need to address your lawsuits. You're lucky that I didn't file a lawsuit or report you to the IRS for tax fraud. So be warned. If I hear that you're still scamming people, it's on. Bring it. This marks the end of my second YouTube video. I can't believe I'm actually doing this, you guys. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Please let me know what you would have done if you were in my situation, or let me know what you think about Mr. L and his fraud, because this man is legit a scammer. And don't forget to come back next week. I will be sharing with you all next week the story of the time that I was on a reality show. More tea, not tea. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. And once again, I'm really sorry about the background noise. I don't know, this is just the best place for me to film in my apartment.